Yo, YouTube, what is up? Radar25 back again with another video. My co-host Michael Fuentemania.
What up, Marks? Raw
Guys,
is so hard.
You got that right. The shit is hard to get through sometimes, but it's another takeaway video. We're 3 takeaways from Monday Night Raw, the go-home show, because Backlash is this Sunday. WWE Backlash live on WWE Network. Rumor is
the greatest match ever.
Rumor is this will all take place live on WWE Network, minus the Randy Orton and Edge match. I heard. Rumor is that match took place already, taped, and that it was really, really good.
Okay.
So we'll get.
Who saw it though?
This is coming from
a janitor.
Yeah, it's coming from insiders at WWE. The reports to Dave Meltzer, stuff like that. So yeah, they said that the match has already been taped. It's really, really good, but I'm not sure if it's the greatest match ever as they're playing it up to. But before we get into the video, guys, I want to remind you guys to drop a like on this video and the previous videos that have dropped. Hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Notification bell so you guys aren't missing anything. Follow the Instagram, the Twitter, the Twitch, the Mixer. All stuff will pop out on the screen right now. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let's get right to it. Our 3 takeaways from Monday Night Raw. The full Nelson Monday Night Raw.
The full Nelson.
Guys, the show started off with our Raw Women's Champion Asuka coming out, quickly interrupted by Bayley and Sasha Banks, then by Charlotte, then by the Iconics. Now, for Backlash, the match is set up, triple threat tag team match. We got the champions, Sasha Banks and Bayley versus the Iconics versus the former champions, Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. That match is set up for Backlash. This is going to be takeaway number 1 of the night, guys, and it's kind of interesting because all these women are in the ring, and basically all they do is set up the same match that will happen at Backlash, but minus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, and adding Asuka and Charlotte to the match.
Which might be a better match to begin with, I think.
I think it might be a better match, because Asuka and Charlotte as a tag team are kind of more interesting than
like
Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross.
Like they would whoop a lot of ass if that was a real team.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, again, but they did the same thing. What did they do again to you? To us, to the world? What did they do again?
They just make a match like right there.
After the commercial break. I can't stand it. You're making me upset, Raw. It's hard enough to get through 3 hours. It's like, oh, you're killing me with this.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the match was what it was. Who won again? I don't even remember. Who won?
So the match was fine, right? All the ladies did well in the beginning, the promo section. They were all energetic. They came off well, especially the Iconics and Sasha Banks and Bayley. And obviously they brought up the fact, the Iconics brought up the fact that Sasha Banks and Bayley, were the champions, the first ever, but they lost those titles to the Iconics at WrestleMania 35. So you got to remember that they brought that up.
And Sasha was salty.
Yeah, she was
like,
salty.
That was last year.
Yeah, the rumor obviously was last year that she got upset, and that's why she was gone for a while after that match happened.
Salty.
Yeah. So, the match was fine match, triple threat tag team matches, a lot going on, 3 people in the ring at a time, tagging in and out. But now the winners of the match are Charlotte and Asuka. Now, I think this casts a shadow because they're not an actual tag team, and their feud is just, a singles thing for the women's championship. So they win the match. Asuka and Charlotte have a back and forth, and there's actually some physicality between the two. Now, think about this. They will have a match. The main event is Charlotte versus Asuka, so they're working double time on this. And Charlotte talking about how she had main event 2 shows back-to-back, being Takeover in Your House, where she lost NXT title. And then, Now, interesting thing, because she lost the title, right? But she plays it off well because she says what she did was elevate the NXT title, which is true. She elevated it. She lost it, but she elevated it. And she didn't get pinned. She didn't get pinned. She didn't get pinned. She
didn't submit. She was just stuck. Her leg was stuck. For whatever reason, it was stuck.
Yeah. Yeah, but whatever the situation is, now they gave obviously Sasha Banks, Bayley won the titles. The Iconics have been in the title picture longer than Sasha Banks and Bayley, but all of a sudden they're kind of just playing like they're on the back seat of this whole thing. We don't think they're going to win at Backlash. We think Sasha and Bayley will retain, obviously. I mean, obviously, but we're pretty sure that that's probably going to happen. But it's an interesting start because this is the match that's going to happen at Backlash. They kind of give you a certain version of it on Raw, the go-home show. I'm not a fan of it.
No, I wasn't a fan at all. I mean, just felt kind of like random and out of place, and just we just need to fill another. Raw's been, we need to fill these 3 hours, so let's just throw stuff at the wall and see if it sticks, and that's basically what they're doing right now. And you we're supposed to get excited for a match, a triple threat match for the women's tag team belt at Backlash, but 2 of the teams lost to Asuka and Charlotte. So they're not even strong enough. They're not even a tag team. So it's like, why am I being excited over this? That doesn't make any sense. It's just, again, just throwing shit at the wall and hopefully it sticks. And this one didn't. So what's next?
This felt more like playing towards Asuka and Charlotte rather than hyping up the match that will happen at Backlash.
So tag team titles will just get pushed to the side as per usual.
As per usual, yeah. Guys, let's take away number one. Next thing on the show, they were going to talk to Rey Mysterio on Skype again. And then they're interrupted by Seth Rollins. He comes out and he nicely tells Byron Saxton to get the fuck out of here, and he will take over commentary because he wants to be in on this conversation with Rey. Obviously, Rey and him have an issue because of the whole eye thing and all that stuff like that. Seth Rollins invites Dominic and Rey to Raw next week. Now, remember, our takeaway from 2 weeks ago on Monday Night Raw was Dominic maybe getting physical with Seth Rollins. Last week, yeah. So getting physical with Seth Rollins. So maybe we'll see that next week and some physicality between Dominic and Seth Rollins. Interesting to see it. But what this turned into while this interview was happening, here comes Aleister Black, attacks Seth Rollins.
Flying in.
Yeah. And then right after commercial break, right after the match is Black and Aleister Black and Humberto Carrillo versus Buddy Murphy and Austin Theory.
Just making matches up. My favorite.
Fine match. Aleister Black, Carrillo get the win, but the beatdown ensues afterwards. Monday Night Messiah is always going to stand tall. Next thing on the show, guys, and it's takeaway number 2 of the night, and is the Peep Show. It was said that the Peep Show would have a guest of Edge because leading up to the match at Backlash.
The greatest match ever.
But we knew Randy Orton was going to be involved in some here, and he does show up. Now,
he said it in a promo like 10 minutes before where he said, like, well, are you sure Edge is the only guest there? Because they're going to be a second. All right?
He said this to Charlie Caruso, and she started counting like ones. It was dumb.
Yeah.
But whatever. Yeah, it was stupid. But, so basically this whole thing is set up. Okay, so the whole match is set up to be the greatest wrestling match ever. Now, they keep saying that Edge has not had an actual, quote-unquote wrestling match, just a plain wrestling match in over 9.5 years because, remember, he came back to the Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble's a gimmick match, and so was the match at WrestleMania that people kind of hated on that no holds barred, whatever the hell they had going on there. So this was basically Christian trying to get his buddy Edge to get that intensity back and have.
And the only way Christian knows how to do this is to be a fucking dick. He's just a straight up dick.
Christian knows how to do this. You are correct. Is to shit on you in order for you to be upset enough to bring it out of you.
Christian's just an asshole, and that's what he does. I missed their podcast because Christian was just a fucking asshole. But it was good. I like this got me hyped. I did like Christian and Edge together. I love it. So it was good. It was fun. They threw like the whole your mother stuff in there, all that stuff, just to get his blood boiling and get ready. They're playing the match like as they should. They already set the bar this high, right? So
calling it the greatest wrestling match ever,
ever. So and then I like how they're like, hey, Edge is worried because he hasn't wrestled in 9 years. Like have a real match. Like, can he do it? Christian said, even in your prime, you couldn't make the greatest match ever. Yeah. So it's like just hyping that up and giving that old dog some ammunition to some fire.
You say that the caveat of this is that he's not just to have just to beat Randy Orton, it's to have the greatest wrestling match ever. Yeah, that's the caveat of it. So he's hyping him up and saying that you don't have it in you to have the greatest wrestling match ever. Try to get it out of him. Now we all know it's not going to be probably the greatest wrestling match ever. That's saying a lot.
Well, like you're setting yourself for failure, like before you go in there. I mean, you're just like, because everybody's expectations are we're going to see the greatest match ever. And it's like, come on, bro. Like, let's be honest. But they did it to themselves. I don't know why they did it to themselves. It felt so unnecessary and like, just what's the point? You're just setting yourself up for failure. We care because Edge is back. And Edge and Randy, they even said, Kurt Angle later on the show said they have great chemistry, trying to hype up the match again. Just leave it at that. This whole part is adding this weird story that they're never going to get to because it's not going to be the greatest match. It's so, if wrestling is a bunch of people that have different opinions. So
it's super subjective. So somebody's greatest wrestling match ever could be somebody's like fifth greatest wrestling match ever.
Like my favorite match is Bret Hart All-Star WrestleMania 13. Yours could be Randy at at WrestleMania 3 with Ricky. It all depends. It all depends. Or it could be some random match from 5 years ago. Who knows?
Yeah, some obscure match. So yeah, it's all subjective. So this ends up having Randy Orton show up on the Titantron. So he's not technically a second guest, but he's just telling Edge and Christian shut the hell up. No tired of hearing it, and just saying that that Edge is not going to be able to have the match with him, and that he's going to beat him, and obviously like that. So it's just all to hype up that match, and like I said, the caveat is that not only does Edge have to win, but he has to have the greatest wrestling match ever. But it'll be nice to have this match. I know it's going to be a really good match. It's be nice to get this out of the way already, because I'm tired of hearing the greatest wrestling match ever.
Yeah, I mean, they even have this is the greatest show. That's
the song. Even plays towards it too. But guys, that's takeaway number 2. Next thing on the show. Now we've seen this for weeks now.
Well, there was an MVP promo.
Yeah, I guess an MVP promo.
We have to get to it because it was the full Nelson Raw.
Yes. This is the full Nelson Raw. You are correct. Yeah.
So it's MVP. He's having an interview, and then here comes R-Truth, and he calls R-Truth a clown, blah, blah, blah. Thing ensues, and all of a sudden here comes Bobby Lashley, the full Nelson, just kind of holds him up like he did to Drew the previous week.
Yeah, so pretty much like yokes him up and manhandles him,
Yeah, so this is basically the full Bobby Lashley's full Nelson is the most powerful move in all of wrestling at the moment. Why? We don't know. The Master Lock, it's better than the Master Lock, supposedly. That's what people are saying, but we'll see what happens at Backlash.
Yeah. Well, let me go off on something right now, because if you guys remember, if you've never seen it, the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast on the network, he had Paul Heyman on there one time. Now, Paul Heyman talks about getting a move, over and stuff like that. So he talks about a headlock. So he says, if I want to make a guy's finish the headlock, nobody else can use it, and he has to build it over time. Nobody else uses it. He's beating everybody with it. That's fine. It could be the simplest of moves that can get over and be somebody's finish. As long as nobody else uses it, and as long as you build it up over time. Bobby Lashley used it 1 week. Now you're supposed to believe that it's the most devastating move that there is. Yeah. Obviously, if Bobby Lashley puts you legitimately in a full Nelson, it's going to suck ass. He's going to manhandle you, and it's going to hurt, right? But in the terms of wrestling, it's not going to be believable because it hasn't been – it's one of those moves nobody cares about, but it's also – Bobby Lashley's done it one time, and you're supposed to now believe that this move is devastating and that it's supposed to matter, and he's going to actually win with this move.
Yeah, and if you would have built this up from a couple of, over a period of months, like 2 or 3 months, 4 months, where this thing is you're showcasing this in every match that this full Nelson
and he's beating everybody and nobody else is using it.
Yes, and that's why the Master Lock works so well, because nobody can unlock the Master Lock. So it just over months and months and months, and then finally when someone does break out of it,
it was Lashley that broke out of it.
I think it was Lashley that broke over it too. Yeah,
funny.
So funny. Finally when he did that, it was like, oh shit, someone broke it, and then automatically put Bobby Lashley over because he was the only one to do it. So like you said, Paul Heyman, the genius who's running Raw, probably should have spent a couple months building this full Nelson before just doing it a week and then supposed to
once the build started for Bobby Lashley, then it should have should have started right there. Let's develop a move. He's gonna use it. Not only does he have the Dominator, but he has this other move that's really gonna show how strong he is. Also,
and then the whole match. Okay, let's go. We'll
talk more about it. Let's get to the next thing. The decathlon between the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits. I hated this. I hate everything they've done with this. I'm so tired of it. It's not funny. I don't know who finds this funny, but I do not find it funny. Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins are trying their best, or the Viking Raiders to try to get something out of this, but it's not really working. This was the decathlon, and it all ended up in a tie. Yeah. Nobody cares, but we did finally get to see them actually on the show in the arena after this. That's the only good part about this. Hopefully this thing is over. I forgot the Profits were even the tag team champions.
Yeah.
I literally forgot. They haven't defended it, and it's just been doing this shit over and over again. So.
I just the less we talk about this, the better. This is not going down in history as one of the better moments of Raw history.
Yeah.
If there's ever a 50-year reunion show and they talk about the worst moments in the Raw history, this should be one of them, because this is one of the worst things we've ever watched. It's been a period of weeks that just wasting our time. I fast forward through it because nobody cares. No one cares.
It's really bad. Move on. Yeah, let's move on. Next thing on the show, it is a number one contenders match for Apollo Cruz's U.S. Championship 4. This match will take place at Backlash. So this triple threat match right now, Kevin Owens, Andrade, and Angel Garza, surprisingly, the two partners or two stable members in the same match. Now, this match, obviously, become number one contender, faces Apollo Crews at Backlash. Like I said, the winner of this match is Andrade after he pins Angel Garza because he got taken out by KO. Kevin Owens takes out Angel Garza. Looks like he's going to win the match. Here comes Andrade, breaks it up, and then pins Angel Garza. So a little bit of tension brewing there. And also,
there's a lot of tension.
Zelina Vega got hit and then she left, right? Yeah.
Yep, she got whipped. She got whiplash.
Right?
Yeah. So there's definitely the beef, and then backstage there's a whole thing where she's just pointing at them like an angry mother at her. So like kind of like how our mom used to yell at us, just point, and we just go, oh, gotta go to her room. So basically that's what happened later on. This whole Selena Stable thing is falling apart at the seams right now. It's all going to hell. Both Angel Garza and Andrade are not on the same page. They're fighting each other. They're throwing each other up at each other against the boards. And Andrade pins Garza. So. You know,
we'll see where this goes down. So Backlash, Andrade versus Apollo Crews, a rematch. We'll see how that one goes. These guys work well together, so be sure good to see. Guys, next thing on the show, and it's the takeaway number 3 or last takeaway, but it's not the main event. This is more of the full Nelson. They have the VIP lounge. It's supposed to be Bobby Lashley coming out. So MVP's talking about he's going to introduce the guy with the most devastating move in WWE, and he's obviously like hinting towards Bobby Lashley, but Drew McIntyre comes out, interrupts, and acts like it's him that he's talking about, right? Yeah. So he's just messing around with him and all stuff like that. He looks like he says he's counting down the Claymore. He's going 3, 2, 1, a Claymore kick, MVP. All of a sudden, Bobby Lashley shows up. Looked like he was going to go for the full Nelson, but Drew saw him. Now, this is all hyping up the full Nelson, which we still don't understand because, like we said before, it's not being built over time for it to be believable that he's actually going to win. Now, the whole thing about this is that MVP is saying Bobby Lashley's going to win, and he's going to win with the full Nelson. Well, that's what they're saying, but as Drew said, the most powerful move is the Claymore. Because why? Because they've been building it for months and months and months and years to be one of the most devastating maneuvers. It's taken out Brock Lesnar. It's taken out top guys. We know it's believable. It's taken out MVP a few times, as Drew told us. Again, we're not excited for the full Nelson. It's not the full Nelson's fault. It's just the build of this full Nelson. It's only been a week in. It's just, again, everything is just so rushed right now and on Raw especially. There isn't much going on. They're just kind of, all right, we need to do this weekend. It's just like the continuity is awful and everything's all over the place. Yeah. And that's where we're at. And that's why this doesn't really mean anything to us right now. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. It was actually better beforehand where we're just like the whole, Bobby hasn't won a championship in 13 years. MVP trying to like build him up. And I was okay with that. I didn't need this whole full Nelson thing to be the whole, shits and caboodle over it. So I don't know. This ended up becoming the match. The match was supposed to be MVP and Bobby Lashley versus the Viking Raiders. Now, like I said before, we finally got to see Profits and Viking Raiders actually literally inside the arena because they all came out together. They seemed to be happy-go-lucky friends or whatever. But this was the match. Now, the match was what it was. Lashley and MVP win, but Lashley does use the full Nelson on Eric. Taps him out, and then he puts it on Ivar afterwards. And after he puts it on Ivar, he's got him trapped. Here come the Profits and Drew McIntyre in the ring to help out. So, McIntyre hits him. So then McIntyre hits Bobby Lashley with the Claymore kick. Yeah. And I did like the way they sold this because he fell out the ring, and the announcer was saying, he's like, how is Bobby Lashley still standing up taking the Claymore? So it's well done in that aspect, but like we've been saying, the full Nelson hasn't been something he's been beating guys with for a long period of time for people to take it as a believable finish. Believable for that he's going to beat Drew McIntyre with it. It's not Jake's DDT. It's just not Jake's DDT at all. So sorry. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Lashley feels unstoppable. Like they have done a well job in like which like I said earlier was like that we were fine with that. We don't need this whole full Nelson thing if you're not gonna. It wasn't built the right way. Yeah, he's being built credibly. You know what I'm saying? Yes. And you could take him as like a legitimate guy. Maybe they'll surprise us and have him win the title, but the full Nelson aspect, that's the part that we have a problem with because if you were going to build Lashley the way you built him, you should have had the full Nelson there from the start. People would have believed it more. Guys, next thing on the show was the main event. Asuka and Charlotte, they're pulling double duty tonight. They had the match at the beginning of the show, and then they're main eventing against each other. This match was tremendous. As per usual, Charlotte and Asuka are very good together. And they had like 25 minutes. They had like pay-per-view time. They had legitimate time here. I didn't like the fact that Nia Jax was the distraction finish. Well, don't get too worried yourself because we had Sasha and Bayley come out and sit ringside to watch the match, and the Iconics were in the crowd. Yeah, and then during the match, the Iconics just came and just
destroyed kind of like destroyed Sasha and Bailey. So there was that. So again, we're inkling towards a match on Sunday.
But it all feels more about the women's championship rather than the
tag team does about them. Like that was just like, oh, we need to make sure people know about this is going on still. And that's kind of where that felt.
Yeah, so Nia Jax provided the distraction. And then and surprisingly, Charlotte won with that boot that she does, that big boot to the face. You know, she normally doesn't win too much with that, but she won, and it
sounded good too. It sounded hard. It sounded really good.
Now Charlotte's undefeated against Asuka. I don't think. I think she's lost against her. So there's more hype.
Wait, didn't she lose at WrestleMania a couple years ago?
No, Charlotte won that match.
Okay,
Charlotte won the match. Yeah. All right. So I want to see what they do with Charlotte, because Charlotte just kind of feels like she's just there. She's winning all these matches, even though she lost that NXT TakeOver. But I want to see what she does. Like, I mean, maybe she goes after Asuka immediately, because I think Asuka will beat Nia Jax. Maybe she just transitions to Charlotte Flair. I was kind of hoping she was transition to Shayna Baszler instead, but maybe, let's see what happens with that. But guys, that was Monday Night Raw, the full Nelson edition of Monday Night Raw. And we appreciate you guys for watching. Obviously, the shit that sucked was the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders, the Decathlon shit. That's obvious. It goes without saying, but that's the end of the video, guys. Remember, for this work, your brother not do the job.
Later, Marks.